Hey everyone, it's Melody with Design My Melody, and welcome to my new craft room. So this is my new craft room, and I'm going to be sharing myself setting up my furniture in this craft room in this video. This is part 2 of my new craft room series. I have 3 parts of this series going up this week, and then at some point later I will be having more parts of this series go up. Right now I'm going to be showing you the process of me putting together my furniture and also placing some of the furniture in the room. And then the next video, part 3, I'll actually be showing you how I unpack and put the things on these big shelves. Now, if you remember my old craft room, or if you don't remember my old craft room, let me tell you about it. I had the, I believe they're the Recollections white cubes. I have 2, 4, 6... I have 13 of them, and I have them set up in the room. Now, when I moved craft rooms, I left everything in those shelves as they were, in those cubes as they were, and just moved the cubes individually. So those stayed the same. However, things got shifted around in them as we moved, and at the end of us packing up, I just kind of shoved things in drawers. So eventually, I'm actually going to be taking everything out of those cubes and reorganizing them. So I will be showing that to you eventually, but there's no point in me showing it to you right now because I haven't exactly figured out where I want to put or how I want to reorganize those cubes. So that's probably going to be something that I do in the next month or so, once I start working in my craft room and kind of get an idea. And you'll see at the end of this video, I actually split up the cubes. Before, I had them in this big, large grouping where they were all together and they were just stacked nice and neat. But I'm actually going to split them up and put them in 2 different parts of my craft room. Also, if you saw at the very beginning of this video, there's also a dark colored cube as well. And those were some cubes that I had from Target from years ago, and they house our office supplies. So they are not scrap supplies at all. They're just office supplies. So those are actually going to be going in my closet in this craft room. And that's where I'll be keeping office supplies that's not part of my Etsy shop or scrapbooking or anything like that. So I've got the camera faced down to the floor because I'm actually setting up these shelves. Now these are some really large shelves, and I got them probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago at IKEA, and I actually got them as a Christmas present from IKEA. Now, they are so versatile, and I'm going to struggle putting these together, which is kind of funny because I've probably put them together and taken them apart 5 or 6 times since I've had them, because I've moved rooms in our old townhouse as well as, moved to a new house. So they have been taken apart and put together multiple times, and I still struggle with it. Now, if you do purchase these shelves, and I'll put a link down below if you're interested in looking at them, if you do purchase these shelves, I highly suggest having a second person help you. Now, I had Ernest and Kaylin, but they were both preoccupied and busy with other things, so I was on my own if I wanted to get this done on the day that I did this. So I struggled with it, but I get it eventually, and as you see, I'm using a manual screwdriver here, and eventually I'm going to give up and go get the electric drill. So that's going to be in the next moment. Now, also, it's very helpful to have a level if you're doing these shelves, because you need to make sure that you are screwing the brace in a way that it is going to make the shelves level, because it's very easy to also make these unlevel. Now, they're really cool because there's different configurations of these shelves at IKEA if you're interested in them. And basically, you buy each piece separately. And the setup or the configuration that I have is that there's one section there's 3 sections total. There's one section that's really tall, kind of a mid-range section, and then one that's about chest height. And then they all come with the shelves themselves, and they're readjustable. So there's pegs there's holes to put pegs in all along these like brackets. As you can see, you see all those holes on that one, and you're going to see me kind of, as I go, I'm just putting one at the bottom of each one, and then I'll also put one kind of midway on each one just to make sure that I have them level. And then when I'm actually unpacking my boxes and putting things on the shelves, that's when I'll actually go ahead and figure out where I want the shelves to be. And I love these. They are so functional in an office or in a workspace, or really even in a bedroom or in a closet if you needed it to be your organization system, because you can constantly change them. As long as you have your braces set up, which are the things that run vertically, then you can change the shelves into any configuration you want. All you have to do is pop them out of the pegs and then move them. Now, they do snap in, so it's easy to pull the ones that are like chest height and below off, but if you're going to get the ones that are kind of above your head, then I suggest using a hammer just to pop them up so you don't have to, struggle, as you will see me do at some point through this video. Like I said, I'll link these below. I highly recommend them. They're really cool, and I've got some really deep ones. They're over a foot deep. I want to say they're like 19 inches deep, if I remember correctly. I'll have to measure. But they do have ones that are not quite as deep as these. But I find that the deep ones are the most stable because you don't have to worry about it being really tall and not stable at the bottom. These are extremely stable, and they do come with some wall mounts as well. If you're concerned about them falling over, or if you have small children that would be playing around them, I would definitely suggest mounting them to the wall. I don't, but that's only because I've had them for 6 or 7 years. I think it's like 6 years. But I've never mounted them to the wall, and I have enough heavy stuff on the bottom that it keeps it pretty stable. It's not going to flip over. I mean, if you like try to climb it and put your full body weight on it, I'm sure I could tip it over, but nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that at all. I don't ever have to worry about my child doing that. So I just make sure that I put heavier things on the bottom. Like I have our boxes that are our file boxes on the bottom, and then I have lighter things up the top. And when I actually organize and unpack the boxes and put the things on it, you'll actually see how I organize it. I'm using one whole section for my Etsy shop, one whole section for my scrapbooking supplies, and then one whole section for like albums and planners and things like that. So I actually really like, it's kind of, because this is my craft room / office, I have my Etsy shop, and I run both, I do both scrapbooking as well as run my Etsy shop out of this room. So I had to make it functional and be able to have places for both, but it's really helpful, even though a lot of the supplies could overlap, it's really helpful to have separate sections for those things. Like I need to have a place to put my inventory and have a place to put my supplies. Like I use specific paper for my cards on my Etsy shop and things like that. So it's helpful to have that separate. I don't have to dig through or, dig through my stash or anything like that. It's all right there and it's easily accessible. And it's also very easy for me to see then what I need to purchase whenever I'm going to buy supplies. All right, so here is me putting on these other brackets, and I swear I must have had some really good patience that day because this is frustrating for me to actually watch myself do this because I feel like there would have been an easier way. There actually would have been an easier way. If I had laid it down on the floor and put it together, it would have worked a lot better. But with my desk being in the room, I could not lay down the highest portion. The rest of it I could have laid down on the floor, no problem. But the highest portion I could not have laid down on the floor and been able to get back up without it hitting the walls and everything else. All right, and I will move the camera eventually as I kind of start working on the different sections, but this is primarily just me getting this room set up. And I left everything, all of my scrap supplies, other than the few things that you saw right there at the beginning of the video, everything else was in our garage. Whenever we moved it over, we took it right off the truck and put it in the garage and just put it in a separate section so that I could find my scrap supplies when I need to. But I didn't have to worry about it being so crowded in the room that I couldn't work with my space. That was the hardest thing because I really wanted to do something crafty, but I needed to get the room set up before I could do that. Otherwise, I would just have boxes all over the place, and that's kind of my current state. I have my room pretty much set up, but there were a lot of things that were left in the garage that came out of a closet at our old house, and things that I hadn't used in a while, and projects that I'm in the middle of, things like that I just need to figure out what I want to do with. I have an old sewing machine that I really have kept for a long time. It doesn't work anymore, but I kept it because I just put it in the new sewing machine box. But I kept it because I felt like I could potentially use the parts or could potentially try to fix it. I don't know. But I kept it. So it's those type of things that I have to figure out what I'm going to do with. If I'm going to keep them or if I'm going to get rid of them, I don't know. So I'm trying to figure out exactly what to do with these shelves. I thought about putting, these cubes, I thought about putting the darker ones across the bottom and then putting all the white ones on top of that. But I just don't like the way that it works. And since they're different material, it doesn't seem to, sit well on each other. The darker ones are about a half inch bigger all the way around. So half inch deeper as well as a half inch wider. And so it makes it difficult to stack the white cubes on top because you can't really push them side by side. It'd be fine if they were sitting on top of each other, but not whenever you're stacking things side by side. This is an example of me just shoving things in different places whenever we moved. I had extension cords shoved in the bottom of that. And I am missing one box, by the way. I realized this the other day when I was pulling out some stuff to scrapbook. I am missing one box of supplies, and it's one that has some of my little 4x6 iris containers of die cuts in it. I don't know where it is. It's got to be in our garage, but it must not have been labeled for my scrap room because we pulled all those boxes out and brought them up to my room. So I'm missing one box of supplies. It has not shown up yet, but it will. It will eventually show up. So here I'm just debating. I'm looking at the tape measure, trying to figure out exactly what I want to do. I really thought about putting my desk in front of the window, but the problem with having my desk in front of the window at the old house is that then I never opened the window because I couldn't get to it around my desk. So this time, because my window's on the front of the house and Kaylin likes to play basketball, I would really like to be able to just keep that window open and listen to him if he's playing basketball and just I could see him right out my window. So that's why I decided to put my desk on the opposite wall of the really tall shelves and then to build my recollections cubes around them. So there's going to be 2 towers of recollections cubes on either side of my desk. And they're only 3 cubes high. So it's 2 cubes wide and 3 cubes tall. And here's where I'm just kind of finding all my little pegs to put these cubes together. I just use the pegs to make sure that they just stay stable on top of each other. And there are 2, maybe only 1. There are 2 cubes that I have to fix because they kind of got damaged in moving. But I will fix those. You don't have to worry about that. I actually went and got some little nails and fixed it myself, reinforced it. So now it is not moving. It is not coming apart. I'm kind of putting, and this may change whenever I actually go through and take everything out of these cubes and reorganize, but I am putting my paper ones, the ones with the paper slots, on the top row, and I'm putting all the drawers and things on the bottom row. Now there's no real rhyme or reason which way. That's the one that's messed up that I have to fix later. It looks like I fix it here, and then I tried to use it the other day and the shelves just fell. So I had to go back and reinforce those with nails. I had to fix my pants. And this desk, so the legs go up and down, but you have to make sure that you tighten it. Otherwise, the desk kind of settles, and then it becomes uneven. And so I had my level sitting on it, so I could tell that it was settling and it was becoming uneven. So every once in a while, you see me fix that. And now I'm building the recollections cubes on the opposite side of my desk. Now, as I mentioned, I have 13 cubes. So I currently have 1 cube sitting on the floor because I don't exactly know what to do with it. At our old house, I had it sitting on the really tall IKEA shelves, but it was empty and I wasn't using it. So now I'm trying to decide what to do with this 13th cube. Do I want to keep it separate? I kind of thought about maybe putting it in the closet on top of the darker ones. I don't know. I haven't figured it out, but there is 1 more cube. So this is a really slow overview of my room. This is what it looks like now that I have all the furniture set up. And I'll be sharing part 3 with you here shortly, showing you how I unpack and put the things on the really tall IKEA shelves. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I'll talk to you later. Bye.